sometimes it's easy to forget about that. You start making changes to the EQ and compression, and then forget to check the levels. The input and output levels of one or two of the plugins, and yeah, you start getting all kinds of ugly effects in there.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I just started at Watergate, so hopefully you'll be able to get a idea of what you're doing there. And I should have started it before I even keyed up, but I didn't. So now a gate is rolling, and you should be able to hear what it's doing over there on that end. Probably easier for you when we're done talking, but man, I mean, it is deep, it's full, it's rich, it's got an open, clean, present reverb, but not obnoxious. It's got some good, crisp, clean, clear, detailed highs. Wow. I like it. That sounds 10-8 and straight there, Mike. Very cool. I'm glad you got that dialed in, and I'm glad I got mine figured out. And my playback is I believe accurate now and about right. And I don't know about the music. I have no idea about that yet, but if I put something with some bass up in there like this, maybe you can see. I hope it sounds okay. Now, I know it's bass heavy. Stop! I know it's bass heavy, but did it sound okay, or was it distorted?
Yeah, it was pretty distorted. It was definitely loading up pretty heavy on the bottom end there. A lot of low end distortion, and it was also causing some masking of the mids and highs. It sounded pretty muffled and pretty heavy on the bottom end.
All right, that's sort of what I expected. That's what I thought I heard in my headphones too. Let me do it one more time, but I'm going to turn something off. Let me try that same track again here, but this time I'm going to turn something off after about 3 seconds. I turned off. Here we go. See what that does. Right there, I don't know if that made it better.
Absolutely perfect. That is absolutely perfect right there. Whatever you changed at the end right there, I mean, it just cleaned it up. It got all crispy and clear. It still had that good funky bass going. Yeah, man. No, it's perfect. It's loud. It's clean. It's crystal clear. Yeah, man. That's it.
Sure. Very good. Awesome. Well, that's where I'll probably leave it for a while here. And yeah. Oh, there's only one more thing I want to do now. I want to make one more change. Got one more thing to click on. Hang on a second. Here it comes. I'll send it on right now. Now turn it off. Oh, yeah. It's better off. All right, it's better off, I guess. All right. I thought I'd try to... I found something in Windows Media Player that I thought I would play with a little bit there, but it creates some really over-the-top bottom end. It's in a... Oh. Shoot. Where was it? Right here. This is what I wanted to turn off. Okay, here, check this out. I'll play it one more time. Here goes. So it's on right now. Now, off. It's off right there. Now I'll turn it back on. Now it's on. It's subtle. Now I'll turn it off. And back on. Anyway, it's subtle. I don't know if you could hear it.
Yeah, I could hear it. Like you said, it was definitely subtle, but it got a little louder with it on, but it also introduced a little bit of distortion. As far as how loud it was plenty loud. Making it louder isn't really a benefit because it really kind of overrides your voice. So yeah, it was plenty loud. And with it on, it got a little louder, and it started to get just an edge of distortion in there. So, to my ears, I think it sounded better with it off.
All right, sounds good. No, it's off. I'll play it one more time. Yeah. All right, then there's also, I want to do one more different one just for a change up here. A little bit more of audio. That should sound pretty good right there. There you go. Stop already. There we go.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's pretty crazy how good that sounds, I'm just listening in through a standard receiver, as you well know, and it sounds like I'm listening to an AM radio station, and your audio sounds even better than that. So clean and crisp and clear, man. It's got that depth in there, and the reverb sits perfect behind your voice, man. It sounds that right there. Your audio right now is the best I've ever heard.
Very cool. Well, I think I'll try to stick with it for a while. I've got a piece of coax. Got a piece of coax on my monitor receiver, and every so often it moves. And then I get a weird crackling kind of a sound on my audio. But if I move the cable just right, then it kind of goes away. So anyway, all right, I think I got it squared away now. Sounds good in my headphones. I'm only working the driver, so I'm sitting at about 125 watts. I'm on the flat side. I'm on the beam. Look, I'm, east, southeast? Yeah, on the beam looking southeast. So I may do better hopping on the Jam Pro. Maybe.
Okay, now you receiving me on the Jam Pro? That's you're pointing the other direction on the beam, and I'm still getting you in 9S units crystal clear. Yeah, switch over to the Jam Pro, see what it does.
Yeah, I was on the 5/8 wave, and I switched to the Jam Pro, and your signal came up on my receive. But let me go switch it on my transmit. Hold on. I'll be right back. Now I'm transmitting on the Jam Pros.
Okay, yeah, that was just a little bit over 15 over 9, so yeah, man. Yeah, that jumped up, 15 over 9, probably 16 over 9. And so yeah, that's 16 dB, man. Yeah, that's big.
Yours the same thing. You were down there about 9 S-units, so a little bit below 9. Now you're up over a plus 10. You're probably about 14, 15 over, plus 9 or over 9. So yeah, you're up there a bunch too. Yeah, there's a 30 dB attenuation between vertical and horizontal, and then when I put all my energy going east instead of over toward you, it really makes a big difference to go to the other antenna. You see, that's where the Jam Pros have an advantage. And if I put the other antenna up at the top of the tower and take out the Jam Pros, I'm going to be losing some of my local advantage. So I don't know. I still have a single Jam Pro, and I might put the single Jam Pro up on another tower. I like the way the single one worked when it was at 36 feet. It did really well locally. I mean, really well. So I think I might put the single one back up just on a different tower.
Okay, yeah, it's kind of nice to have those options. Yeah, I mean, you came up quite a bit. I mean, your carrier's sitting at like between 15 and 16, but you're swinging to 20 plus. Just a little over 20 over 9. So if anybody's got a problem hearing you locally on that, man, I think they might want to get their receiver checked out. 10-4.
Yeah, 10-4. Yeah, I know. I think I satisfy good enough. Oh man, holy cow. Well, and that's not bad. That's only the 125 watts of carrier. I could go to a lot more than that, but I didn't figure I needed it.
No, you definitely don't need it. But yeah, you probably put this all these bars in the striker to the right corner, I'm sure.
10-4. I'm going to do something. I'm going to turn my phone on. I want to listen to your audio on the YouTube feed. I don't usually listen to my own YouTube feed because it, causes problems with me talking and all that. I'm not going to try to talk or hold a conversation while listening to it, but I do want to listen to your audio on the YouTube feed. Make sure you sound like I think you sound on the YouTube feed. So you can go find it. I don't even know where it is. Oh, there it is. All right. Go ahead and talk a little bit. Let me listen to you for a second.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious about that too. I mean, there's no real way to check it out. I was also going to ask you if you could listen to my audio into one of your receivers. One of the radios that you check to do your setup with. I think you got like probably 2 or 3 different radios over there. But if you got a radio that's got just standard bandwidth receive, I'd be curious to see how I sound coming in through that. I don't know if you're switching radios or if you're not transmitting. But anyway, we'll be standing by.
Holy cow, you sound good. Yeah, I don't have the ability to connect antennas to the other receivers. Not all of my receivers that I use for monitoring and all that stuff there for comparisons don't have antennas on them. So, and I don't have an easy way due to my wiring and where things are to be able to route an antenna to any of them. So I don't I don't have a receiver aside from the SDR. I do have... Can I listen to the CD radio? You know what? I think I can receive you. I can listen to you on a... possibly on the Richard. I don't even remember if I have the Richard wired into the console or not. But let me switch on some stuff over here, and I'm going to listen to the Richard in, I'll listen to the Richard in the mono bus, right there, mono. All right, go ahead and key down and let me see if I can hear you on the Richard.
Yeah, 10-4. No, I don't want you to go through all kinds of trouble switching things up and moving things around. How did that compare to the audio going out on YouTube there?
Well, I can't hear me now, but I hear you.
Okay. Well, I actually heard you. I guess it's just not routed for your headphones there.
Wow, you sound bodacious. Yeah, I'm just listening to my mono bus, which I have I have your audio, fed up into the mono bus. Matter of fact, I'm going to turn off the SDR play right now too. Go ahead and key up again.
Joe. Yeah. Just kind of curious as to what kind of difference you're hearing as far as my live audio compared to the audio feed on YouTube. Because the thing about YouTube is, they have their own compression scheme going. There's no way around it. No matter what video that's uploaded and whatnot, it does change it a little bit. Sometimes it's not very noticeable, sometimes it is, but I guess it depends on how hot the upload is and whether or not they apply a whole bunch of compression or don't,
10-4. Now my receiver, the Richard, the stock unmodified Richard, is feeding the YouTube feed when I'm in receive mode right now. So there's a little bit of a let me see if I can hear myself when I do this. No, where am I? I don't have the feed for that set up. Go figure. I know what I can do here. All right, here, let me do this. So check. Nope, that doesn't work either. I guess I have that muted. That's why I did that. All right. Anyway, you can hear from this point for a few keys anyway. I'll let you hear what's going on YouTube. It sounds like there's, if I'm not mistaken, a little bit of a grumble or something in the bottom end that I'm hearing on the Richard radio. I don't hear it on the SDR. I don't think it's really there to worry about. But the Richard does hear a little bit of a grumble in the very bottom end. But if you pull that out, I'm afraid it's going to sound not so good on the wideband radio.
Yeah, 10-4. Yeah, I don't know. It might be some anomaly going on with the way it's connected or something. I guess the only real way to find out if it's got that issue on the bottom end is to hear somebody else, with a standard receiver, that could hear the audio and see if they can pick it out. I couldn't hear anything like that in the headphones. Sounded pretty clean, from the bottom to the top. But, it's hard to tell. Sometimes what you're hearing in your headphones isn't what other people are hearing out there.
10-4. No, yeah, I don't know if there's anybody else out here locally that can hear you either, that could give you a report. Grandpa Jones has a wideband receiver. I don't think he would hear this particular anomaly. I think it has to do with the filtering of the radio. And it may be radio specific, it may also be who knows what. But I tried it at different volume levels, whether it's really, really low or really, really high. Either way, it still has the same little flutter, kind of rolls with the voice at the bottom end. But like I said, I don't hear it at all in the Drake when I go to. The SDR. It's only on the local, the 73, I'm sorry, what is that? Richards, President Richards.
Yeah, 10-4. Yeah, like you said, it could be the filtering. It could be radio specific, or it might be actual. But it seems like, well, that was CJ in the background. It seems like the SDR would probably pick it up, unless it is a filtering thing, going on in a standard receiver. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll roll with it where it's at and see if I can get some local checks. I just set this up a couple days ago. I haven't been back to the yard. See if I can get somebody out there, in Kingman to give me some feedback. But for now, I'll just leave it where it's at.
Yep, I think I would leave it alone for now. I don't hear it at all. I mean, I listened for it extra hard. I switched back over to the Drake. The SDR receiver, and I couldn't hear it at all. So it's not there as far as a artifact in the audio. So if it's there at all, it's because the filter on the radio is trying real hard to filter it out, and it's not filtering it out well, so it's hearing a little bit of an extra thing, and I just think it's on the receiver itself. I don't think it's you at all. And like I said, you sound absolutely flawless over here.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll just, just leave it where it's at and roll with that for a while. And, it's kind of like that, too. Sometimes, you get a standard receiver, start trying to pile in too much bottom end, it'll start getting distorted. But, yeah, we'll roll with it where it's at and see if I can get some checks out there. You're actually the first person I've even talked to with this particular chain. I actually started a couple days ago and then just kind of touched things up last night. So, yeah, we'll just wait and see.
10-4 sounds good. Yeah, it sure is clean, sure is clear, big, crisp. I mean, absolutely unbelievable. So I like it. Yeah, I wouldn't sacrifice anything to change it. Audio's that funny monster. You gotta, if you go for loudness, or if you go for brilliance, or if you go for bass, or if you go for any one particular thing, it's like an antenna. Audio is much like an antenna, I think. You can't have maximum bandwidth and maximum gain at the same time. and you could have a front to back number that's huge but not a good pattern. So you could have a great big front to back and still have big lobes on the both two back corners, which is what my beam does. I've got the one main lobe, and then I've got one at 5 o'clock and one at 7 o'clock, and it is what it is. But anyway, I designed another antenna that had 124 dB of front to back, but it had two big, huge lobes at 5 and 7. And granted, if you're trying to notch out somebody directly behind you, that's pretty awesome. But it's more like the back door has to be kind of, if you're really concerned about the back door, a number like 35 or 30 could be better if it's uniform across the entire back and side back. Anyway, I don't mean to get off onto antenna thing, but yeah, it's the same thing. Audio's the same thing. It's a trade-off. And I think what you've got now is pretty doggone awesome.
Yeah, I agree. It is, and the way you explained it, with the antennas, yeah, it makes perfect sense. But, I always do try to, it's like what we talked about, man. You can't have your cake and eat it too. If you want big bass, you're not going to be loud. You want it real crisp and bright. It's not going to have any bottom end. And, I always try to kind of blend the best of all of it into kind of one, not be overly bassy, but just kind of full. And, good presence, I think, is that's like one of the more important things for me. I like to have as much presence as I can in there without giving up too much bottom end, and still keep the top end nice and clean. But man, it's tricky. Just a tiny little change in one direction or the other, and it can screw the other things completely up.
Yeah, the funny thing about it is the change you may hear locally, because you're focused on listening for a particular change, may be hard to hear. But as you get in the distance and you're listening to the finished product, another listener may say, well, yeah, you enhanced, let's say you cut out some mids. Well, their perception of it is not that you cut out mids. Their perception of it is that you boosted the bass and the highs. So, if you have to change your perspective when you listen to what you've created. And if you try to do it based on what you're listening to specifically, you might be missing the rest of the picture. So this is a tricky thing to try to get right, And then once you get it right, who's to say what's right?
Yeah, no kidding, man. It's all subjective. It's all about perspective. It's a matter of taste and getting it dialed in, like you said, right. Might be right to you or me or somebody else, but somebody else might hear it and object to it altogether. So yeah, it's tricky, man. Usually when I'm trying to get more bottom end or more upper mids, presence or highs, I'll end up taking out some of the low mids, and if it seems like it's too bright, I generally will start notching out something up at the top, and that inherently puts more bottom end in. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's not, but yeah, I think doing subtractive to get more usually works a little bit better most of the time.
Yep, almost always. It's kind of interesting to think of audio as a fuel tank, and you have a bunch of these different gallons that add up to a total amount. And, if you got a lot of bass ones, well, you can't have those and all of the other ones you had. You have to take away some of the others. If you keep pushing, even though the knobs go up and it gets louder, well, you got to sacrifice something, and usually what you sacrifice is the respectable amount of distortion. You get away from what's normally tolerable, and you get into a non-tolerable range. And then you just start, you fight that whole thing, trying to keep your balance right, keep within the fuel tank's level. And then, what's looking at the fuel tank? It's not really a gauge. It's a various different assorted different receivers. So they're, some of them have a wider field of vision than others, and the gauge may appear to be more or less full in one or the other. And so, yeah, there's a certain limit to what you can get away with, and it's a never-ending quest to try to find a balance, between various different things, I think you've got the balance right now, at least in my opinion, in my receiver, in my ears, and I'm liking it. So very, very cool. Now in my receiver, I like what I hear. Now I've heard it on different receivers, and I've heard it in water gates. Now my up-close monitor says, oh, turn the reverb down. But the end result is then you don't really hear the reverb so much. So I have to take a little, at least I believe, I have to accept a little bit more reverb than I would normally tolerate or want in my headphones to have the proper amount of reverb for the receivers out there on the other end. And then even with all that being said, if you compare the amount of reverb while listening to a narrowband radio to the amount of reverb on the very same audio on a wideband radio, the amount or respective amount of reverb in relation to the drive signal is going to be different sounding on the two different radios. That makes it really difficult.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You know, like you said, you know, a standard bandwidth receiver is going to hear less reverb. You know, the wider band is going to hear more, obviously, especially near the top. And that's usually what's most perceptive anyway. But yeah, I kind of struggle with that. I always have to have more than I like in my headphones. Because if I turn it down to the level that sounds good in my headphones, it's pretty much unperceptive out there. Nobody can really hear it unless I'm right on top of them and I'm asking them, do you hear any? You know, and then they can kind of point it out, you know, pick it out. But yeah, I generally have to get used to it. The same thing in my headphones. You know, I got to hear more than I would like in there, just so that it's perceivable out there. And as far as your reverb, it's perfect, man. It's absolutely perfect. Your voice sits right on top of it, so it's not smearing your audio in any way, and it adds a depth and ambience. And yeah, I really like it. How does this reverb sound? I mean, is the tone of the reverb sound okay?
Yep, exactly as you described mine is how I would describe yours. The tone, the amount of it, the delay, the decay, the ambient sound, the whole thing it's constructive, it's additive, it's not distractive or disruptive in any way, shape, or form. It's absolutely flawless.
Okay, good deal. Yeah. Well, then I think that logic works, you know, because you know, that was the one thing that I was really working on the last couple days, is trying to get the reverb right. Because you know how it is, man. You start changing EQ and especially compression, man, it starts jacking your reverb up 6 ways from Sunday, you know, and then you got to get in there and readjust that. And then that sometimes will cause a phasing issue on one of your equalizers. Then you got to go back in there and make adjustments there. And it's kind of a back and forth thing, you know, and you know, sometimes I'm not even kidding, man. I'll get to a point where I'm just like, screw it. That's the reverb that's there, and if they can hear it, they can. If it's too much, then they're gonna have to live with it. But it still bugs me, you know. But to me, in my head, it seemed like I got it about where I just a little bit more than I like in my headphones, and that generally translates pretty good out there.
Yep, 10-4, and that's what I found. And yeah, I like it. It's I finally figured out that this is about as far as I can take it, both in bigness, fullness, richness, brightness, bass, treble, and openness. Those are the criteria. I think I'm trying to get as much of everything as I can. I can certainly make it louder. Also, if you notice, there's a lot more dynamic range in my audio. I can talk really quiet like that right there, or I can talk a little bit louder right there, and it still controls the big peaks. But I can still get a lot more dynamic range than I ever used to get.
Yeah, and that's what's contributing to that nice open clear sound too. But yeah, you got plenty of bottom end in there. It's got good full. It's got good depth. It's crispy, it's clean, it's got good presence in there. Yeah, I agree. I think you got the balance just right. And if you try to push anything, even just a little bit more, it's going to throw it off, and it's not going to sound as good. I mean, you know, and that's my opinion, of course. But, you know, on this standard receiver, this Striker 955, you know, it's totally stock receiver. Coming through here, you know, especially since I got really good signal strength on you, you know, you're hitting me way up. So if there was anything off, man, I'd definitely hear it. And yeah, it's absolute perfection, man.
Roger. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on our signals just for fun. I'm looking out. I'm looking at the whole 40 channels right now. But let me zoom in once. Oh, it's going to move it over to the center of the screen. Oh, well, I don't care. Anyway, I'll zoom it in once, twice. I'll go 3 times. So I'm looking a lot wider right now. And I want to take a look at your signal. I've zoomed in quite a bit. We're only looking now from 27, basically 965 up to, I don't know, 27055. So I zoomed in. Let me see what I see on your signal now.
Okay, yeah, you're definitely going to see it kind of spilling over a little bit more than I usually do. And the reason is because I was using brick wall filtering, for my low pass, and that was causing too much phasiness, man. It was kind of plugging up the audio, so I went to 72 dB per octave filters. I'm still pretty vertical, but there is a little bit of a curve there, and so it's probably edging out just a little bit more than I would like. But you know what? If there's a little scratch on the adjacents, then that's what it's going to be, man. I don't have the proper equipment to do like Danielson does, get a perfect straight line and have killer audio. I don't know what he's using to do that, but I don't have that capability, so I'm going to have to make that little compromise.
You're 6 kilohertz wide, and it's nice. It sounds good. Now let's see if I can turn the gain up on mine. I turn the gain. I want to turn mine up higher. Mine is lower than yours because I've got the antenna disconnected here. Hold on. Settings. Where's the gain? Waterfall gain. No, spectrum base. Here we go. Spectrum base will turn up. There we can see the noise floor. You're at 6 kilohertz wide, and I'm at about 4.5 kilohertz wide, just shy of 5. So you're a little wider than I am, but I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, that's what's giving you that beautiful crisp high end, and like you say, a little scratch is not going to make a big difference. But and my sibilance, S energy sibilance, is right in at about 3,500, 3,000. Somewhere in that range. But yeah, that's what's going on there, Rick. Sounds good. Now what I'll do, I'll leave my noise floor up, and I'll leave my signal on the spectrum analyzer, or the waterfall, where it is. And then I'm going to go ahead and attenuate your signal down, because I have a feeling your signal is going to be stronger than mine. So I'll attenuate yours down to the same level, and see what happens there. Out of curiosity, here it goes. Go ahead and key up.
Okay, yeah. Normally I put my low pass filter right at 5K, but because it's no longer a straight vertical line, because it was a brick wall, going down to 72 dB per octave, because I saw it push out. I actually moved it up or down to 4,800 hertz. So at the top it's more narrow, but it lets more in, and at the bottom of the signal where it starts to come up into the filter. But yeah, man, it's my S's are up there pretty high. They're like at 4,700 hertz, 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7. I'm sure that just went off the charts and bled over all over the place, but. Yeah, that's what it is, man. So if I start cutting out my S's, going real narrow, it starts to sound pretty bad.
Yep, no, I wouldn't do that. Sibilance. Okay, now I've got 2 of me up in there. Oh, it's because of that right there. Okay. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I've got you up in there real good. You're loud. Man, you're loud. You sound, I think you're louder than I am, but I don't know if I should be able to, I can't really compare that. Because I'm listening, no, never scratch that. I'm listening to your audio on the SDR, and I'm listening to my audio off of the Drake, and the levels are probably not equal. So anyway, but now I'm feeding YouTube with both with SDR. So your audio and my audio on YouTube are coming off of the SDR. So now, wait a second, let's see here. That means my audio here, hello, test. Hang on a second here. My audio is still coming off of... Oh, I'm monitoring off the SDR also. Anyway, yeah, you're loud. I don't seem to have nearly the volume in my audio that you do.
Okay, yeah, that's crazy because you're pretty loud over here, man. I mean, if as a comparison, a standard radio, if I was listening to a standard radio that was tuned properly, you'd probably be close to, I would say, probably close to twice as loud. And I hear radios all the time, and I know where my volume, on this radio is set all the time, and how loud people are at whatever volume level I've got it set. So, damn. I hope I'm not too loud, 10-4.
Oh, no. You're not too loud. And you're 30 dB down from your carrier. And I've got more energy in my lows and less on the mids and the highs as it falls off. So anyway, yeah, I don't know if it's apples and apples this way, but I did want you to hear the difference. There's a delay on my audio with the SDR because of the processing of the computer, so I can't really talk this way. But I wanted you to hear this point on the YouTube feed. The difference between your audio and my audio on the same receiver, but with me being close to the receiver and you being farther away. And the difference is on my signal, I've got the attenuator at 0 and the coax disconnected on transmit. When I go to receive, your signal's coming in, but I'm using 20 dB of attenuation to knock your signal down to the same level as mine. If I go one more, it would actually be a little bit too far, so yours is still a bit stronger. But anyway, just to, for analytical points of interest, I wanted to do that. I'm going to switch back over now to the Drake, my audio feeding YouTube off of the Drake, which is now on frequency, and the piece of turn that down a little bit there. Anyway, I just moved the piece of coax around to a point that sounds better. Anyway, and then back to the regular air feed here. So anyway, things are back to normal configuration again, but there's a little spot in there where you can see both of our signals coming off the same receiver.
Okay, yeah, that'll be interesting, for me, because I know how you sound in my receivers, so that'll kind of give me a very loose kind of interpretation of how I would be coming through a standard receiver. Now, question. Now, how much more low end energy do you have on the SDR? As far as how high the bottom end's peaking, because you definitely don't sound like you got too much bass at all. I mean, it's just perfect. And if mine's a little lower than yours, then I would definitely say I don't have too much bass, and might have been something kind of strange anomaly going on with the President Richard, maybe, when you were listening in through that, at my audio. But yeah, how many more dBs are you showing on your lows on the SDR compared to mine there, 10-4?
Now, let's see here. My bass is probably, in relation to the peak of the carrier, is about the same as yours. You have some more upper top end that comes up in there and peaks out, in the 3,500, 4,000 cycle range, maybe even a little higher than I do, more often than I do. I don't know if I could simulate that by turning my EQ. I'm not going to mess with anything except for this right here. I'm going to turn this EQ up here a little bit more and put a little bit more upper mid-range up in there, which is a kind of sort of more similar to what your audio looks like right there by looks. I don't know about sound, but I rolled up the mids, I mean the highs, and so you can see and hear what that does. But I did do that just for change. But no, our bass in relation to carrier, about the same, and the highs, I don't think you have too much by any means. I think my Richard was probably acting strange. I also don't know if there's anybody else on the frequency. I don't want to be tying this thing up. I realize we're on the bowl, and we're having a conversation out here, and I'm thinking that there's no skip, but there may be skip. I don't know what who's hearing what from where. Hey, Bobby Booshay, Motor Mouth Mall, your West Coast beast. I don't know how that sounds. I got down, break up.
Yeah, it doesn't work. I mean, it doesn't sound bad. I mean, it sounds fine, but how you have it originally definitely sounds way, way better. But yeah, I'm going to get on the side. I gotta take care of something real quick. I'll be back in about 2 minutes.
All right, sounds good. I put it back where I was, and I'll sit back and read the mail for a little bit too while you do what you got to do, and we'll see if anybody else is out there on the band out there on 27.025. Motor Mouth Mall working this thing, stepping.
Okay, I'm back. Yeah, there sounds like some skip is rolling up in from Mexico, but your signal strength's so strong, man. I couldn't even hear anything coming in besides you. So I don't know if you got better gain on your antenna, so I don't know if I'm getting over it or not there, 10-4.
No, I don't hear any skip at all, not even Mexico. When I was on the beam looking east, they could hear me really good in the Bahamas. I guess I was rolling up in there pretty good on 125 birds in the Bahamas on the beam. And I don't know if they can still hear me down there. Hey, Robert, I don't know if you can still hear me down there in the Bahamas, 008. Well, I'm on the Jam Pros. But, yeah, that was a trip and a half. No, I'm not sure about the loudness part. The gate that Of course, there was no comparison audio on it. The gate that 008 sent me made me sound pretty loud and bodacious. So maybe there's something about receiving close-up and all that kind of stuff that has an effect on apparent loudness. I don't think you can really A/B test one versus the other. It could also be the AGC on the receiver clamped down real hard because of close proximity, you know. And then with your signal, it releases a little bit more.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because you're basically right on top of your received radio, man. So yeah, it might be just doing it's a little bit of attenuation, you know, going on there. But yeah, man, it's loud and bodacious. I'm afraid if you try to get it any louder, you would lose that tone, you know, and start to introduce distortion. You still have that motor mouth mall growl, but it's so clean, man. It's crystal clear, you know, and I think that stands out a lot. I think that's a really good attribute you don't want to lose there, 10-4.
Sure. Now, I haven't tried talking really close to the mic yet. I'm still about 6 inches away, but if I talk closer, like right up on top of the microphone, I don't know what that does. And then if I remove the pop screen and stay really close to the microphone like that, I don't know what that does. But that's right up on top of the microphone with no pop screen. This is with the pop screen and really close to the microphone. Hello, test, 1, 2. And then back 6 inches away from the microphone, right there, right now.
Yeah, in 6 inches, you know, when you're right up on the pop screen, that actually sounds a little bit better. I mean, if you did that when we were talking, I probably wouldn't have noticed. I mean, it's that minimal. But, you know, listening to it, I would say the pop screen 6 inches away from the mic and being right up on the pop screen sounds absolutely perfect.
10-4. Well, that's good because the pop screen gives me that little, you know, I can't get any closer to the microphone than the pop screen allows. And it still does its job. And it seems to, I can hear the growl. It sounds good. So I'm happy with it. I think it's working pretty well.
Yeah, I would definitely mark that chain down as like a default, you know, like a reference chain. That way, you know, when you start to experiment and try different things and move things around, you can refer back to this one and find out how far off you got or whatnot, you know, if you're going the right direction of what you're trying to achieve at the time. But, yeah, I would use this as a standard reference, you know, the one you got right now. Because, you know, like I was saying, man, right now you sound better than I've ever heard. So, yeah, that's pretty good. You know, considering you sounded pretty damn good in the past. I mean, really good. This is just, you know, next level. So, I would definitely use it as a reference.
Yeah, I think I'll do that. I've got 7 plugins. I've got the vocal writer on the input. And I've got an Isotope Ozone 5 after that. I've got an Expanse 3D after that. And I've got an Isotope Ozone 5 reverb, which I really should probably have the reverb at the end of the chain, but, you know, I'm not going to change it except for maybe in another session, but not now. And then I have a Trans X, multi-stereo Trans X, whatever that is. Well, it's a 4-band compressor limiter. And then a Isotope Ozone 3-band compressor, doing very little. And then an Ozone 9 Dynamics compressor, 3-band compressor. And I really don't probably need both compressors at the tail end of the chain, but because it sounds good, I haven't taken anything out yet. I would like to streamline it. And if I was to streamline it, I think what I would do would probably be to take out one of those 2 compressors and maybe the Trans X, because ultimately they're all multi-band compressors, one after the other, but they're all doing a little bit, and it's better to compress. If you're trying to achieve loudness, it's better to compress in multiple stages than one stage. That way you don't get the pumping. If you use one stage to do all the compression, say you got 12 dB of compression and it's all happening at once, you start hearing that pumping and swelling. And I didn't want that in there.
Yeah, it's that's the funny thing about compressors. Usually if you have one doing all the heavy lifting, you'd start to hear the artifacts and start hearing the actual compressor working, and that's generally not desirable. Now you were saying, what were you saying? What I wanted to comment on? Your reverb. Yeah, you were saying that your reverb's not in the end of the chain. I'm doing the same thing. I found that if my reverb is at the end of the chain, it doesn't sound as good. And so I run mine at a very low volume, and then I compress behind it, and it seems to sound better that way. I think mine's like four plugins from the end of the chain, and it's going through all three of my compressors. And so, to my ear, it sounds a little bit better that way. I tried, before I used to run them at the end of the chain, and I couldn't get it to where I liked it. So, running it at a low volume and then pulling the noise floor up, will bring that reverb up, and seems to sound a little bit better.
Yeah, it's kind of like a happy. It's a happy exaggeration. This seems to work well for this application. I don't think it's how you want to do it in the studio by any means. I think it's one of the last things you want to add in the chain. But if for what we're doing, I think it works pretty good. Mine is literally the fourth thing from the end. It goes reverb, then transx, then isotope dynamics, then ozone dynamics. Well, isotope ozone 5 and 9. Anyway, both dynamics. So yeah, it's a good. Now I can do something. I can just for fun. This is going to be interesting. One thing cool about this Live Professor version 2. Let me just make sure I've got this saved. I don't want to screw anything up. Save project, and it's going to be called. Yeah, okay, save. All right, so I've saved it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag the reverb to the end of the chain, and it'll just simply rewire it to the very end of the chain, right here. Now the reverb is at the very last thing of the chain, and you can hear how the compressor is no longer acting on the reverb. I lost some of my reverb because the compressors aren't after the fact making anything happen to it. So now the reverb is at the very tail end of the chain, and to get the same level of reverb, if I bump it from 28.1% and I bump it up here to about 53.1% or so, 50%, then I can get the reverb close. But now it seems like it's got a little bit more of a decay time. It's kind of so there's a trade-off in there. I can probably make it work right, but it's not just simply a matter of moving it. It's also counteracting other things happening prior to it. But I moved it now. It's at the end of the chain.
Yeah, and another byproduct of doing that, your audio actually got slightly tighter, and you lost presence in your audio. So, the reverberated signal actually acts on, it affects not just compression, but EQ too. And if you're using multiband compression, that's kind of almost in a roundabout kind of way, a form of equalization, obviously. But, so it affects the overall tone and EQ of the dry signal too. So, it's cause and effect all the way down. Like you said, you can make it work, and I have too in the past. But I've found that it just sounds a little bit more natural. It sounds less manufactured. It has a more natural sound, like you're actually in a room. And that's kind of the sound I like. And so And for me, I get a better result with it, where it's at right now. And yeah, I am actually 4 plugins from the rear of the chain with that reverb, and going through the compressors, it sounds a little bit better.
Yep, Roger. Yep, indeed. I just moved it back and put it back where it belongs. And so yeah, it definitely makes it. It's a different vibe or different animal when you do that. Let me turn that off. And put that back. Okay, so I'm back where I started again. But yeah, it's interesting to see how all that stuff interacts with each other. The one thing about the version 2 Live Professor I like is it lets you make those changes relatively quickly, and it rewires all of the equipment, internal in the daisy chain quickly and instantaneously, and the levels don't change. It automatically levels up everything and makes it right. So it's kind of cool. You can hear the changes without the volume becoming a critical thing you have to either get past or readjust.
Yeah, and that's the way all DAWs work. The number 1 version of Live Professor was pretty old. Even 4 years ago, I think, when I started trying that out, I'm not sure if it was discontinued at that time or not, but yeah, every modern DAW will just automatically rewire itself when you move a plugin around. But the only thing you got to watch out for is if you're doing any gain staging in the plugin itself. Input and output levels, if you have those adjusted. And if it's an EQ or a compressor, and of course that'll change volume and everything like that. But yeah, it's definitely a step up.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. So yeah, I like the layout. I like the physical appearance of it. Not that should matter, over and above everything else. But that's on coax. Fell again here. Hang on. I hate that thing. My monitor coax fell. Find a place where I can put it where it will stay there and keep sounding the same from key to key. Yeah, that's the one interesting thing I found about my station, that is going to be a perpetual, ongoing, unanswered thing, and that is depending upon antenna direction, antenna selection, power level, and even day-to-day. The monitor receivers are very picky about where their coax is sitting, if the coax is connected or not, if it's shorted or not shorted, or touching something, or just simply a half an inch of placement. It's magnetic fields. It's NRF fields that are. Ooh, wow, that was cool. Why did that just change? It's RF fields that change. Wow, that got loud in my headphones. What in the world happened there? Hold on, that got really loud. Nice. Put that somewhere else. And you can hear it on YouTube right now as I'm moving the cable around. Here we go. Come on, stay put. The hum that you hear is not really on the air. It's on YouTube, unfortunately. But it's not really on the air, so it's kind of an annoying battle. But an ongoing one, nonetheless.
No, yeah, I can't hear anything out here. I'm not hearing any humming or anything going on. It's just your normal audio. Just it's all you, nice and clean. But that like you said, I mean, you got a lot of different configurations, different antennas that point different directions, different power levels, and everything else, and different radios to receive on. Yeah, I don't think there's any one way out of any of that, man. I think that's, like you said, it's going to be an ongoing battle. But it's nothing that you're not used to. I mean, you've been doing the multi-antenna thing for a long time, so at least you kind of know what you're in for when you do make a change to a different antenna. At a different power level.
Yep, absolutely. And one of these days I'll learn to trust what I'm hearing and know that it's working, and just pick my audio off a different, spot. But for now I like real on-air monitoring, just because it gives me an absolute certainty that things are whatever they are from time to time, or key to key, or day to day, whichever the case may be. But anyway, how long are you here in town for, Derek?
Well, I gotta actually get going here in a minute. I gotta get checked in over here, and then get this load, and then we gotta get down the road. Gotta get out towards as far as we can get to Kingman. I started off down there in Oxnard this morning, so not going to have enough hours to make it all the way in, but yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to do. So yeah, I got to get off the radio here in the next couple minutes, and then get checked in and see if we can get this truck loaded up. But yeah, as far as monitoring, my situation, I couldn't use an actual radio. I tried that for several years, man. Couldn't get it to work for me because I'm too close. But yeah, listening to my audio directly out of my interface, for me is a benefit. But if I were on a base station, I think I would do both. But definitely want to hear it through an actual receiver. But it's all comes down to what you're getting used to too. It's like headphones. I mean, you get a new pair of headphones and things just don't sound right no matter what. And then you get used to them, and then, you start trusting them and whatnot. And I kind of got the same way with my interface, listening to my audio directly out of my interface. But, yeah, it's got to go the way it needs to go, according to preferences, a person, how they like to hear and what they're hearing. But, I didn't really have a choice, so it's working for me right now, but I think when I get off the road, I'll definitely have a receiver radio set up too.
Roger. I find that when I take off one of the headphones, or from that here, or if I take off those cables, here, maybe that's better. Thing keeps getting all wonky over here. Over there? Oh man, I don't know. Now it's overdriving the receiver. If you just move it a little bit, it can go into a mode where it really overdrives the receiver and gets crazy. Anyway. Yeah, I find that I get more conversational if I take off the headphones and don't monitor myself. And now that I think I've got the audio where I want it, I think I'm done nitpicking it a little bit. I can even turn off the headphones completely right here, all the way. Unplug them, take them off, and just turn up the monitors and talk and just be done with it. Anyway, Bobby, good to hear you up in there. Glad you could make it up into Santa Maria, and you smoking. Definitely doing a good job over here. Motor mouth ball waving. I'm going to get back on the side and let the frequency roll. I know there's a whole lot of great big hammers out there somewhere, so I'm going to let them have that.
Yeah, 10-4. Well, it's always a pleasure, man. Really enjoy getting over here and, doing a little experimentations, trying out different things. It's always fun, man. And, like I was saying, it's always a treat for me personally to get out here and be able to get a chance to do this kind of stuff, because it's the only opportunity I get. Everybody else is, you start getting too much into the adjusting and trying out other things. They get pretty short-fused, You know what I'm talking about. People just, they get kind of bored of it pretty quick. But, yeah, it's always fun, man. And, yep, we got to get going. I got to go get checked in and, wave at Grandpa for me and Jelly Belly and everybody else. And we'll look forward to getting back out here as soon as we can. Probably not too long from now, I'm sure. Season's opened up, so yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool to get through here for the foreseeable future until around Thanksgiving. But anyway, Motormouth Mall. It's always a pleasure, my friend. We'll catch up with you next time. Bobby Booshay in this 18-wheel mobile, and we're back out.
10-4, definitely. Pleasure with the double measure. You and CJ have a safe trip, and we'll look forward to doing it again. And yeah, I know what you mean about, people getting short-fused. And usually the last thing you want to do is be out there in the middle of skip asking for radio checks. And, you get a quick answer, or you don't even know if you get an accurate answer. I mean, of course, water gates give you some pretty good insight as to what's going on, and they're helpful by all means. But yeah, it's rare to get to do this and really yap about audio, and I like the fact that we've got this on YouTube. So the changes we made, not really changes, we didn't do a lot of changes. I think I made more changes, but the discussion we had, and the audio and the descriptive terms and the audio presence and the SDR pictures and all that stuff can hopefully point people in a direction. If this can be looked at as a helpful video for somebody, that would be really, really cool. But anyway, enjoy listening to it later on when you get time, and I'll stop the gate and let it upload to YouTube and do whatever it does. And we'll do it again the next time around when you get back into town again. So 7-3, take care, mobile safely. And appreciate the bump down and the awesome sound you're putting in my receiver over here. I've got these big old 15-inch two-way monitors cranked up, and I'll tell you what, it just sounds phenomenal. Catch you later, Bobby Booshay, Motormouth Mall, while you're out there in that big old 18-wheel mobile. Motormouth Mall cruising this little bitty squeaky base station on the Omni mode. Got down.
Roger. All right, John, you take it easy, and we'll catch up with you next time we get through. Bobby Booshay, and I'm stepping.
410. Hello over there, Marita. To see you up in there. You have a good day. A Motormouth Mall waving and stepping. I'm going to terminate this gate and let it upload and do its thing. So 7-3 is all. Motormouth Mall stepping by. Bye-bye-bye.